We've got more breaking news from the election here in Canada. You know Jonathan Wilkinson? Jonathan Wilkinson is the Natural Resources Minister for Prime Minister Mark Carney. Yes, he just issued a statement about the carbon tax, specifically the industrial carbon tax. Minister Wilson, who's still in power, is really upset by all of these folks now pushing to get rid of the industrial carbon tax. So people like Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, people like Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, and people like that representative from that trade union in Hamilton, who are all saying, get rid of all carbon taxes, scrap the industrial carbon tax in Canada. That is upsetting Wilkinson, and he just issued a news release. I'm going to quote the last part of it here. It's really important. Quote, "A Mark Carney government will make sure we pass on a habitable planet to our children." Habitable planet, because he's clinging on to this industrial carbon tax. Does that remind you of something that they said before? Yeah, 5 minutes ago, this government in Ottawa, the Mark Carney government, the Justin Trudeau government, they were calling folks like us who want to scrap the consumer carbon tax too. They were calling those folks monsters. They were calling those folks deniers. Remember when folks are trying to get rid of the consumer carbon tax, the one Carney is claiming he's getting rid of, but he's not really because he's hiding it in the industrial carbon tax? Remember when folks were saying, get rid of the carbon tax, we're sick of being punished for driving to work and heating our home? And the government stood up and said that you just want the planet to burn? Yeah, that just literally happened 5 minutes ago. But now all of a sudden, Mark Carney, who is the godfather of carbon taxes, okay? He wrote an entire book, like a 507-page book on carbon taxes and why they are the keystone to his worldview, okay? Mark Carney loves carbon taxes, but he says he's going to change the consumer carbon tax. He's going to hide it in the industrial carbon tax. That's why this is so key, because the industrial carbon tax is just a carbon tax. It's a carbon tax on you, because fuel refineries and utilities companies and fertilizer manufacturers and steel manufacturers can't just eat the cost of the industrial carbon tax. No, they will do two things. One, they will pass the cost on down to you because they have to, because they can't eat that cost. So that'll still make you pay these bills. And second, this is key, especially for a place like Ontario, calling on you, Premier Doug Ford. Ontario is home to most of our steel manufacturing. And now that we have a trade union spokesperson coming out and saying the industrial carbon tax will kill the steel industry, this is important for everybody to stand up right now. So, including Premier Doug Ford of Ontario, you need to take a page out of Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe's playbook and say, guess what? Ontario is now a carbon tax-free zone. No consumer carbon tax, no industrial carbon tax. And frankly, every party should do this. Every party in Canada should say, you know what? This isn't working. It's just costing people an arm and a leg. No more carbon taxes in Canada.